Hello, we are back with another update. The weather has not been kind to us these last couple months. It was really wet, and then it got really cold, and then it got really snowy. So we haven't had a lot of time to go out there and work. But we were able to get a little bit of time in, and with that little bit of time, we've made progress. And so I wanted to go ahead and show you. Uh, how far we've come along. We've moved forward in our directions. And if you remember in the last video, this is where we stopped. We had found a carving on a triangle stone, and that carving was on the surface of that stone. And that is as far as we had gotten. So we still had remaining symbols. We have the measuring stick, 2-foot measuring stick, and of course it's underwater. This is all covered up, it's hidden. And then you have a partially cut ashlar stone. You have what looks like a knife looking shape, and then a triangle, and then the victory, the symbol for the other half of his bones. And so we are very close to the end, and this is where we had stopped, and we've made some progress because we're clear down here now. And what you're going to see, it's just you have to see it for yourself. There is no explaining it other than it's true. And so I'm horrible with time. I really believed I would have had him by now. I thought that years ago. As I'm working this site, the amount of work that's having to be put in, it's just incredible. And you're going to see that today. So we're just going to get right into it. Jump right in, and let's just look at these symbols and try to interpret them the best as we can, and we'll see where we end up with that. And so, like I said, the last video, we ended right here. I will say, once again, if you have not watched my previous videos, you're not going to understand what we're talking about. Several months ago, we found directions to our map, and so we've been working these directions, and that's what you're looking at here. And so you'll have to go back and watch those videos, otherwise you are going to be lost. And so let's go ahead and hit it. The trial. Of course, the trial was, we thought it was for concrete, but it ends up being for the triangle stone. You're looking at the surface. A trial is to give you a visual, appealing appearance on the surface of a stone. And it ended up being this triangle stone right here. I showed you guys that. And then on that triangle stone, there is a carving. And we are in the process of interpreting this. I can't really get into it right now, but what we can say for sure is that you have a man. Clearly see his head and his body and his arm, and he's putting something into a hole, and it looks like a big door with a smaller door, and then it looks like, two eyes and a nose, so like a face within this building. And so it like I said, we're working that, but that is what that trial is telling you. You're going to find something that is appealing to you on that stone. And so we've been working that, and that's where we had ended up. So the next symbol that we were looking at was, of course, this one, because once you found that triangle, the next thing to do is dig. That's the only thing you can do. And so we said, okay, so we started digging. And when we began to dig, we hit this rock shelf. So the triangle stone was right here, pointed at this stone. And so we started digging down, and notice this is very strangely shaped. And this stone is huge. We can actually see the backside, so we know we're directly under the omega, and the stone is pushing to the right. And so we said, well, this is interesting looking. And I had a picture of it from the front view. And what it is it's steps. 3 of them. And then you hit the ground. It's sitting on top of another stone, another rock shelf. And when you come over here and look at your measuring stick, you'll notice on the side of it, you have 1 little dot, 1 big dot, 2 little dots, 2 big dots, 3 little dots, 3 big dots, 4 little dots, nothing. We said, well, that has to be for the stone that I'm looking at. And when you look at it, that's exactly what it is. The dirt was all the way up here. You dug down a little bit, and then you hit your first dot. Dig down a little bit more, hit your second dot. Dig down a little bit more, hit your third dot. Dig down a little bit more. There's nothing left. And so he's identifying this stone. He wants you to pay attention to this stone. But there was no hole there. We didn't find a hole. That's all we found. So we said, okay, you're telling me that this triangle that's pointed at this rock shelf, and this rock shelf is the representation of that measuring stick. Okay, what do I do with that? There's no hole there. So the only thing we could do is follow the stone. This is the edge of the stone right here. Okay? It begins to cut in this direction. And so we said, okay, let's start following the stone, and let's see what opens up. And the next symbol you have after your measuring stick is your ashlar stone. So he's telling me that this stone is my ashlar stone. Okay? But an ashlar stone, that's a partially cut ashlar. There's a full ashlar. A partially cut ashlar is a stone that hasn't been finished yet. Of course, an ashlar is a rectangle stone. So this is a stone that's only been partially chiseled on. We said, okay. So we kept digging. And this is what you find. The front with the measuring stick is right here. And then it cuts to the side and then starts to go up. And you see you have this channel running through. This stone and this stone are the same stone. Somebody has chiseled 10 feet into that stone. 4 feet thick. There's about another 12 inches of stone past this. So they didn't cut it clean in two. It's still all together. But they have chiseled out a channel 10 feet into that stone. It's absolutely incredible. And I, of course, am asking myself, why would somebody do that? That's a lot of work. Nature didn't do that. We're several feet underground. You have stones on top of this back here. Up above. We're several feet underground. I'm going to show you. So how did this get chiseled out? Man did it. They did it. Now the only question is, why did they do it? So now let's go back to our directions. Because remember, if that is our ashlar stone, and now we can see they've partially chiseled on this thing, why? Why did you chisel a channel 10 feet into that stone? Well, we have a symbol here. It looks like a knife. Okay? I thought it was something else in the last video. We were just surmising, but now that we've gotten this far, we know what that symbol is now. And so when we kept digging, because there's nothing else you can do, we took a drill and we went all through that and looking for a hole. You know, maybe they covered it with concrete. There was nothing. And so we said, okay, why did you do that? Well, the only thing we could do was keep digging. And so we start going to the right and we kept digging. And this is what it looks like from the top. So this is actually the ground that you'd be walking on, and we are several feet under it. And this is what it looks like from the top. Over here is where your steps are, and then it cuts and then goes up. And this is all one stone. All one stone. Someone chiseled a line clean through it 10 feet. We said, man, this is starting to look like a triangle, which we have the triangle right here. We said, oh, wow, we're really coming onto something here. So, of course, we keep digging. And this is what that triangle ended up being. It is your knife. Right here. They chiseled, we got it covered up here. They chiseled 10 feet into that in order to create the shape of that knife. It comes to a point. It's straight. It's at a point. Flares out real wide. Comes back in. Gets real skinny like a handle. It's at a point. Straight. This is what they chiseled. It's at a point, flares out, and then comes in. That is not possible. That's why this is the partial ashlar. Your ashlar stone is a partial ashlar because these are the symbols that they have chiseled out of it. And you're going to, once you identify your ashlar, you will then identify this shape, which then should lead you to this shape, which then should lead you to your reward. We said, okay, if this is my knife looking symbol, then where is my triangle? And as we dug back, you'll notice a little stone sticking out here. This stone is part of this stone. They chiseled this out too. So this stone is huge. And they're chiseling out these shapes, guiding you under the stone that's above it, which we've already identified as our temple stone from our past videos. That would be up here with your skirt lines. And you went up and around, and it looked just like the bottleneck in the map. It's all coming together now. This side is amazing. It's very difficult to interpret, but you had the carving on the triangle pointing at a rock. When we dug it out, it matched. It has steps, just like this is showing, 3 dots, 3 steps. That identifies that is your partial ashlar stone. And as you begin to dig, he's cutting the shapes out of it. And there's one of them right there. We said, okay, so the next one must be our triangle, which is this one right here. And that's exactly what it is. This is I'm gonna go ahead and show you this real quick. This is what it looked like before we ever started working it. So you can kind of get an idea of just where we are. And that 10 feet chisel through the stone is going across. We started under the omega, and it took you across right back into here. And then your knife is like right here. And then your triangle is like right here. So he's walking us down this stone to the front. And you can see where it is. So when you get to here, here's the hole. Here's the ground. And you can see how far we are. We're like 6 feet, 7 feet underground. So this whole thing, we're several feet underground. As it's telling you, it's covered up. It's all covered up. You're going to have to dig it out. And as we begin to dig, a triangle opens up. Here's one side, and it loops around and connects to your, this is your knife. So it loops around, and then it's making that triangle coming this direction. And it's pushing us towards the front. It's not possible. Every shape that he's telling you you're going to find, we are finding after the carving. And this is where we are. We just now have found this triangle, and now we're pushing it. We need to understand, do we look in the triangle? Is there like, is that just another, and then we keep pushing to the right, and then we're going to find our victory. Because that's where we are now, right here. And the only thing left, we have identified our knife, and we are now unlocking our triangle, and the only thing left is our victory with writings that are going to lead you to the temple, to the full ashlar. It's just absolutely incredible to have that shape pop up. It just shouldn't be there. That was man done, man chiseled that, clean 10 feet back, creating that knife shape, just like you have here. And then when you look at the map, You are here at the Omega, and you had to dig. You're digging, you dug out the stone, and it had a chisel that went clear across the ditch and went under this stone. And now it is pushing us to the right, and it's pushing us this direction. And by the terrain to where we are, we're about right here. I think just a little bit further. And we're going to go right into an opening. He will actually end up being in the temple within the map. So this is where we are. It's very exciting. Like I said, it's been cold. We're about to get cold again, but we're gonna try to get out there a couple of times before it hits, and I'm hoping we can get our victory, and I can get you another video very soon. I also wanted to show you we found where he left a clue inside of the Bible, and so I want to go ahead and keep one of these pictures out so we can keep this in mind. I'll go ahead and use this one. I'm gonna go ahead and use this one, okay? Well, remember this right here, this crack that he has created. They've chiseled this out, okay? Now, when you go into the Bible, go here. So when you go into the Bible, this is 1 Kings chapter 5, and if we just come down to verse 18, it says, and Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them, the stone squarers. So they prepared timber and stones to build the house. And you got the two lines there next to the stone squarers. It's the only time you're going to find that word. Every other time they're called masons. You look up at number 16, 3,300. Zeros are placeholders, so 33. That's Bacon. He could use this. He never changes scripture, but he can use scripture to give you a message. And that's exactly what he's doing here. And so instead of translating it as masons, he translates it as stone squarers. And then off to the side you have, or Giblites, as Ezekiel 27:9. So, well, that's interesting. So I go to Ezekiel 27:9. This is what it says. The ancients of Gebal, the wise men thereof, were in thee, thy caulkers. All the ships of the sea were with the mariners were in thee, to occupy thy merchandise. And you look off to the side, he's got the two lines before caulkers, and it says, or stoppers of the chinks. And what is a chink? We're talking about stone squarers, people who are making ashlar stones. That's what it is. That's what a stone squarer does. He makes ashlar stones. And he refers you to this verse in which he's saying stoppers of the chinks. And we have an ashlar stone out there in which we have what you would call a chink. What is a chink? A chink is a narrow opening or crack, usually one that emits light. And so this is a narrow opening or crack that is going to emit light. Why did they stop? Stoppers of the chink. That's what it says. Stoppers of the chinks. Why did they stop? And of course, it's to make those symbols. To make those symbols in the directions, and you're going to follow them, and he's going to lead you to the entrance. I think it's absolutely fascinating. I cannot get over the preciseness. You just cannot get over the preciseness. Like I said, we've shown every step. Every step. That should not be there. That represents that. This right here represents this, which is telling you it's this. And then it's telling you you're gonna find this, which you do. And then he's telling you you're going to find this. And we did. There's only one thing left. Our victory. And so I thank you guys. Like I said, we're going to try to get out there. We're going to try to finish this. And hopefully we can be done very soon. But I will let you know one way or another what we find. We don't got much more real estate to go. And so we're all about to know whether this is what they say it is or if it just led to nothing. And so all glory to the Father. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for putting this on us, giving us the ability to understand what needs to be found and the ability to get it done for you. It's been an honor. And I love you guys. Till the next one, see you.